What's up, everybody? Hey, welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live. With me, your host, Jeff Marconette Jr., and award-winning international Make Every Second Count speaker. Now, I'm excited about tonight because we have a guest on here that is going to go through steps that I cannot do. You see, I was involved in a car accident and I spent 2.5 months in a coma, 3.5 in the hospital. And ever since then, I've been fighting to get back to where I think I should be. But I'm not a person that's going to sit there and tell you how to get over something emotional. That's just not me. So I am very excited to offer you the expertise of my friend Ben. What's up, Ben?
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing so fine.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. So, if you would like to go through a short introduction of yourself, that would be fine. That would be dandy.
Great. So my name is Ben Eden. I am an international speaker, a life coach, an author, and a podcaster. I actually worked in HR. I was an executive until February of this year, and that's when I chose to leave to become a speaker and everything else. So great timing, I know, but hey, it's worked out.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. So, on this show, we talk about all kinds of things to help other people out. Now, we when we do that, I do that because I know that there are things that in my life that I needed help getting past. So I figured that why not try to help other people get past things? So, has there been anything in your life that you've had to reach out for help with?
Absolutely. This was something that happened to me when I was 9 or 10 years old, but I didn't reach out for help for 20 years. Okay. So this taught me a ton of things about the emotions that we're going to talk about today and how it's important to do what I'm going to explain. But to answer your question, what was it? Well, when I was 9 or 10 years old, we were in elementary school, of course, finishing a dodgeball game in PE. And I was learning that I was pretty good at sports, okay? My friends were noticing that I was good at sports, and I was starting to notice that my friends were noticing that I was good at sports. So yeah, this starting to develop an identity at 9 or 10 years old. But at the end of this game, we were leaving class and my friends were laughing hysterically about something. So naturally, I wanted to be involved. And I say, hey guys, what's so funny? And they told me to raise my arms. Okay. So I did. And they laughed even harder. And I looked down and I realized that I had extremely sweaty armpits. And you might think, well, you just finished a game of dodgeball. Of course you'd be sweaty. What's the big deal? But here I was, a 9 or 10 year old boy, not knowing exactly how the body worked. And it must have been a lot more than anybody else, because otherwise, why would my friends be laughing at me?
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. So what exactly did you do about that? I mean, did that leave you emotionally scarred or anything?
Absolutely. And you use the term that I use, emotionally scarred. And again, you might think, well, my goodness, it's just something that happened as a boy, as a little boy. What's the big deal? Why would it affect you 20 years later? Well, it turns out that it's something called hyperhidrosis. It's excessive sweating. Some people have it in the hands, the feet, and the underarms. And let me tell you, I've researched this a lot recently. Most people who have hyperhidrosis think they're the only ones that have it. So then they live thinking, I'm the only one that has this problem. There's something wrong with me. They isolate, and these feelings of shame and embarrassment come. So, yeah, this happened to me. Even though people are like, Ben, you have a picture perfect life, right? Oh, you're good at everything you do. I was suffering in silence because of what happened as a child, and it stuck with me today. Hopefully, some of your listeners can relate and think, maybe if I look down and say, yeah, I feel like there's something wrong with me. and it stopped me from doing things.
Man, that's tough. Now, you see, a lot of people wouldn't think that is a big idea or a big thing that you were scarred by something that is a medical problem. But I've been made fun of for my medical problems, such as my walking, my talking, and my, I don't know, just my overall funkiness. And I happen to love that, but other people do not understand that all the time. And what is the biggest way we can make other people understand that we might have a medical problem and they shouldn't make fun of us?
Well, here's something that I have learned for myself. I don't know if we'll ever be able to make the other person understand fully what we're going through. So to take the time to explain may help, but it may not. So really what I teach is that we need to learn to love ourselves anyway. Even if somebody makes fun, or even if somebody says, hey, that's gross, you're disgusting, why do you do that, what's wrong with you, right? We need to say, you know what, I've taken the time to understand and acknowledge my emotions. This doesn't define me, but it is part of me, and I'm okay with that.
That is pretty awesome. Now I know that you've also come up with what? How many steps to help people deal with their emotions?
6.
6. That's crazy. I only have like one.
And what's
No,
that?
I don't know. I was just messing with you. But I would like to take a second here and say hi to a couple people. So, hi to my dad who's watching from across the street. Hi to Adam Durand, and I appreciate you guys watching. Hi to Sean Siegel, and he says, greetings from Ohio. He's actually in the state capital of Ohio, so that's pretty cool. And then we have Lady Rochelle Dotson Matheny watching, and she is from Chicago, Illinois, and she's a pretty amazing woman herself. And then I know that Julie will be watching this later, and I also know that Amy will be watching this later. So thank you guys for watching. Please tell us your biggest takeaway, and hopefully you can gain some knowledge from this stuff because I know it will help you out because it has helped out many people so far. So, Ben, if you would like to take it away, I'll let you go ahead and do that.
Sure. So I might look down every once in a while because I have them written down here, so I make sure I get them in the right order.
That's all right.
But going back to what I was briefly sharing about what happened when I was a child and this hyperhidrosis, I actually go into a lot more detail in other places. But because this emotion comes, right? It was an event that happened a long time ago, and but it emotionally scarred me because I had unresolved emotions. And again, before we get into these steps, I want the listener to think, well, hold on, maybe I don't have hyperhidrosis, or maybe that didn't happen to me as a child, but I know we can relate in how we felt. Maybe we do look at ourselves and say, there's something wrong with me, something imperfect that's stopping me from doing what I know I want to, or I know I can. So what do? Most of us, we say, I don't know what that emotion was. It was scary. I don't want to deal with it. So I'm going to hide it, or I'm going to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist. So I'll get so busy with work that I can't have time to think about it. Work or school, right? Um, or maybe I'll just watch TV all day, play video games, shop, eat, whatever behavior of choice. This is why it's so important and why I do what I do, why I left an executive HR position to do this. Because if those behaviors don't work, which they don't, the brain escalates to more mind-numbing behaviors like drugs, alcohol, sex, pornography kind of stuff, and it might even escalate to violence and suicide. So this is why it's so important what I teach about how to overcome your emotional pain. We all have emotions. Okay, if that's a news flash for you, welcome. We all have emotions. But again, most of us hide them. So here's 6 steps to help you overcome your emotional pain. And if you don't like the term emotional pain, because who wants to talk about pain, think unresolved emotions. I still feel it. Something in my body isn't right. It feels stuck. Maybe I remember something from the past. Maybe I want to move forward, but I feel stuck, right? So there's the preface. Here
All
are
right,
the.
now can I real quick, I want to say hi to Joe Labor, but I also ask you guys if you would please share this video out, introduce people to this show, because you never know whose life you are going to be able to change or possibly even save. So we hope you guys can take notes on these or put your biggest takeaways in the comments. And I noticed Nicole is doing that, and she says, yes, she can relate, and she loves people's differences. In fact, she teaches her kids to never judge people because they're different. So that's pretty awesome. And thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. And I'm sorry for interrupting again. I feel bad about that, but I don't really. So,
This is your show, man. You can do whatever you want. But
yeah.
Nicole, yes, thank you for saying that, because emotional pain can come from flippant remarks too. Something that somebody didn't mean to hurt. What we do it as kids a lot. We just judge or say things. And yeah, it can affect people for 20 years like it did me. So thank you for bringing that up. Here are the steps to overcome your emotional pain. You can use them yourself. You can help somebody else. Number 1, face your emotion. This might be the hardest thing, okay? Face your emotions. Most of us try to hide it, run from it, pretend it doesn't exist. Face it. 2,
Well, wait a minute. Time out. How exactly do you face your emotions? I mean, you're going through the steps, and I love the fact that you're going through the steps. But you have to kind of tell us how we do these things.
and that is part of 2 and 3. But I'll give you a few more details on this face your emotions.
Oh, all
Your
right.
body, yeah, no worries. I help you understand, even though I might go through a little quickly. Your
All right.
body is trying to deliver a message to you, which is what those emotions are. Okay, it's energy in motion, and it's saying, hey, you are experiencing something. I need you to listen to me so we can address this properly. And if you don't, then it gets stuck. But again, most of us don't face the emotions because we haven't been trained how to, and therefore it's too scary or too painful. Face your emotions can come in a lot of ways. The mindfulness, meditation, journaling, talking, whatever you want to call it, whatever works for you. But let me tell you, I just got off a podcast talking about this, where if you want your first thing every day to be listening to your body, that is how you face your emotion. Instead of saying, wake up, go to work, ignore it, do everything else to ignore it, that doesn't work. So I say, okay, I'm going to listen to my body. If I close my eyes, take a deep breath, and think of every part of my body, how is it feeling? Okay, do I feel something stuck? And if so, what could it be? Is that good enough for number 1 for you, Jeff?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that number 2 and 3 led into telling how. So I apologize.
No worries. I'm glad you asked, because maybe somebody else had a similar question. These 6 steps interrelate, okay? So step number 2 is name your emotions, name them. So as you sit in the, each morning, focusing and being mindful, all right, what do I feel? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it fear? Is it disgust? Is it embarrassment? Whatever it is, right? And if you need help on the vocabulary, there's plenty of options online. You can say, which emotion resonates with me? We won't get too deep into that, but there is resonation, there's energy, and all that cool stuff that'll help you know what you're feeling. Because a lot of us think, I have no idea how to do this. How am I going to be successful? I don't know how to name my emotions. With practice, it'll become easier. So again, put a name to it. Third step is understand them. And again, these all correlate. So in the morning, I say, all right, what am I feeling? I feel angry. All right. Understand them. What could anger be telling me? Anger says a lot of things, but often it says it's trying to tell you what's important to you, or that you weren't listened to, you weren't heard. If any of this applies to you, then you can say, okay, that starts to make sense. Why? I felt like my child didn't listen to me yesterday. I felt like
Hmm.
my spouse wasn't there to hear. My boss didn't treat me the way I should. Okay, that's why I'm angry. If so, now I know what I can do about it. I don't have to stay out of control today and angry, angry, angry. And I don't know why I'm angry, and then I start to hate myself because I'm angry. Or in other words, I'm angry that I'm angry. Can anybody relate with that? So exactly, right? But I'm telling you, I hope this is becoming more and more clear to you. I've had people call me all the time and they say, hey, why would I be angry with my own child? Shouldn't I just have pure love for him? Well, again, anger says what's important, and oftentimes it can hide fear. I think this will be helpful for a listener here. If it's hiding fear, why would it, as a parent to a child? Well, I want to know that my child is going to grow up and be a good person. And maybe I feel like if they don't listen to me, they might do something wrong and they might get hurt. There's fear. I have fear for my child. I also might have fear that if my child is misbehaving, then other people will look at me differently. Okay. So again, if you can name it and understand it, then you start to think, this is where it's coming from. This is the message my body's trying to tell me. Alrighty. Then we move on to step 4. Process them. Process simply means giving it space. When we haven't done these steps, so prior to learning these steps, what we would most often do is say, I don't know what you are and I don't want to hear from you anyway. What happens is that emotional energy gets stuck, and that's why we don't feel so good. That's why we have those, I'm just so angry inside, and I start to clench. But when we process them, we start to develop or think of ideas of how we can start to release the energy, which is step 5. But so 4 and 5 are very close to each other. Process the emotion means I've taken the time to understand and acknowledge that emotion. I am feeling angry, and I'm okay with that. So what am I going to do with my angry energy? Am I going to hurt somebody? No, because I know that's not good. But anger is a powerful motivator. I do love my child. I do want to do well at work. I do want to be in a good relationship. Great. Now turn that energy into something positive. So step 5, release the emotion. How do you do that? Lots of individual ways, but here's the principle. I have this energy, this energy of emotion, for example. What can I do with it? Many times we're afraid of the emotion called anger because we have learned that many people who are angry hurt people. And we don't want to be that way. But again, if anger is a powerful motivator, then what can I do about it?
Hmm.
Whatever your circumstance is, it says, great, now I have the energy. I'm going to go finish that project that I needed to do at work so that I can get that promotion, or just so I can serve that customer. Great. Use that energy positively. I do love my child, so guess what? I'm going to go serve them. Awesome. I do want to be healthy, so I'm going to use that energy to go work out and have a great day. These are positive ways of releasing that energy, and then it no longer sticks with you. Sounds redundant, but you literally feel lighter and free afterwards. It is so awesome, okay? Step 6, gain power over them. This is an acronym, PWR. Sorry, were you going to say something, Jeff?
No, go
Okay.
ahead.
So 6 is gain power over them. Once again, these 6 steps are pretty correlated because this acronym can be done at step 6, or it can help you accomplish steps 1 through 5. Power is an acronym, like I said. P is for pray. Whether you believe in a higher power, God, whatever, the principle still applies. You need to talk to somebody about your emotions or about how you are. Hey, God or family or therapy or whatever it is, this is what I'm going through. I don't fully understand it, but I'm angry. I don't really know why, but oh my goodness, I'm ticked off. As you start to do so, it starts to remove it from your brain. And what that means is that you start to separate yourself from the emotion, and you no longer define yourself by it. You don't say, I'm always an angry person. I can never have a good relationship with somebody. I have no control over my life. No, because we went through steps 1 through 5, we said, hold on here. No, I'm feeling angry, and that's okay. Angry is a natural emotion that we all have, so we shouldn't try to avoid it or be ashamed that we have it. Pray, remove it from the brain. W is for write. Same principle, but if we're not comfortable talking to somebody about our emotions quite yet, we can write about them, and the same thing happens. Here's an example that I share a lot because it was so powerful to me. Me, who talks about emotions all the time, I invited a bunch of friends over to my house one night, and you'd think, hey, friends, party, it's going to be a good time. But at the end of the night, I was like, oh, I wasn't happy that my friends were there. I didn't have a good time. I was pretty frustrated. I'm like, why would I do that? And so my initial reaction was to hide from those emotions and ignore them. I was just going to watch a quick episode on TV and go to bed. But I was like, hold on here. I need to know how to overcome my emotions. So what did I do? I said, okay, I'm going to quickly write in my journal. I just said, I'm frustrated. I don't know why, but this is just how I feel. I feel bored. Okay. And I feel lonely. Hold on here. I was just with friends. Why would I feel lonely? But again, I don't judge my feelings. I just write them down. And if I'm honest with myself, my body will tell me what I'm feeling. That's the power of listening to your body. So write it out. And in my experience, I've never been bothered by those emotions from that night. I went to sleep fine, woke up in the morning, it was great, simply because I took the time to do so. Finally, R for reach out. This has been something so powerful to me. If you remember from the beginning, all this stemmed from me having hyperhidrosis and hiding from people for 20 years, okay? But once I learned to reach out instead of isolate, I began to see I'm not alone in how I feel. I'm not broken. There's not something wrong with me. I can relate to others. People do love me for who I am. I can make these connections. See how I'm talking right now? Even my energy is getting up.
Yeah.
When you reach out, again, you make a human connection. We realize that we're in this together and that it is okay to feel the way that we do. I hope that helps. I hope that's clear to people.
Yeah, that is fantastic. But I have one other question.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Well, actually, I might have a couple other questions to deal with it. But all right, so how can people, like, let's say they've lost their job and they're embarrassed by that, and they know they're embarrassed by that, but their embarrassment by that is making them angry. How can they release that anger, and can they do it by praying and writing it down and reaching out for help, or
I love your question because there are a couple principles that you just taught us right there. Some people might think that this power method, the PWR, we might think that is way too simple, that could never work. But it encompasses things that do work, even though they sound simple. Because we're being mindful and listening to that emotion, here's the paradox. We often say, I feel angry and embarrassed. I don't want to think about them. But the way to resolve them is to think about them and give them space. I'm telling you, that is the solution. I also love what you said, where anger might be hiding embarrassment. Anger is a protective mechanism. I don't want people to know that I'm embarrassed, or I'm upset that I'm embarrassed and I'm angry. So this same principle applies. If we take the time to say, what am I feeling? Face my emotions, name it, understand it, everything we just talked about, then I'm telling you, those emotions will say, my message has been heard, I'm gone.
all right. So let's say somebody wants to get healthy, but they don't know why they want to get healthy. They just know that they want to look better, but they don't know why they want to look better. So how can they gain power over their wants, their desires?
I love your questions, my friend. Here's the answer that comes to my mind. I would not do it alone. It is true that you have the answers inside of you, so you definitely have the power to do this, but I wouldn't try to do it alone. When you talk to somebody, pray, or if you write about it, then you can see outside of your brain what's going on. You can see, why do I want to be healthy? Whether that's losing weight or changing the way I eat or exercise, whatever, right? Whatever part of healthy, why do I want to do it? Great. Then you yourself are in a position to see why I want that and have the deeper motivation. But if you reach out and tell somebody about it, then they can help you get to the truth of the matter. I love what I've heard before saying, hey, I want to lose weight. Great. Well, how much do you want to lose? 1 pound? Great. Tomorrow you're good? Done. Next goal. Right? But if we say, no, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds. Well, why do you want to lose 20 pounds? Is it because you then think people will like you more? Or is it because you think you'll have more energy? Or is it because you'll be able to treat people better? Even those are a little superficial. Do I want to love myself? Do I want to feel good enough? Do I want to have that energy, that quality of life? If you have those deep reasons associated with positive emotions, then whether or not you meet the 20 pounds or looking perfect in the mirror, you will have accomplished what you were looking for in the first place. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Now, the last question. This one's the last, I promise you, I think. But do you have contact information that you would like to give out in case somebody wants to either book you on their show, have you speak somewhere, or even have questions about emotional responses?
Sure. Thank you, Jeff. So whether something resonated with you today or you're like, you know what, this sounds good, but I need to know more because there's a lot to understand. You can find me anywhere online under Ben Eden Speaks. That's my website, on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You're welcome to email me at ben@benedenspeaks.com. And I can give you a free tool of how to manage your emotions, or I'd love to book a conversation with you.
All right, we actually have a question from the audience. So this question isn't from me. So I didn't lie when I told you this would be the last question. So, what about my daughter who is 13 and had her trauma at the age of 10? How do you release hurt from trauma?
Great question, Nicole. And I feel an emotional connection when you ask such a powerful question. So it's not something that I can fully explain right now because it's more, an individual kind of thing. But I'll give you a couple things that'll help. Not hurt, help. First of all, I have a podcast. In one of my episodes, we talk about post-PTSD and how you're not broken. I encourage you to go listen to that. The podcast is called Champions of Self. Second, trauma hurts so bad because the event is linked with unresolved emotions. I know you didn't hear my full story. Maybe we can talk about that another time. But how I got over my emotional scarring was I finally learned to release the emotions from the event. I reprogrammed my brain and rewrote my memories. And here's one of my favorite lines that I use all the time. What was once a ghost that haunted me is now an ancestor that I can learn from. So yes.
That's deep. All right. You have to repeat that.
Sure. What was once a ghost that haunted me is now an ancestor that I can learn from.
Wow. That's drop the mic. If you have a mic, drop it.
Oh, thank you.
I want to say hi to a few other people that showed up after I said my first round of hellos. But the gladiator Patrick Artis is in the building. And then Angel Sherman is here. Kelsey Humberger is here. I said Humberger. But Kelsey Humberger is here. And then Chuck Black and Sarah are here. So we thank you guys so much for watching. Please share this video out because you never know who's going to benefit from his 6 steps. So, excuse me. So I have to. We have another. Nicole also says that her oldest child suffered childhood trauma as well. So that runs prevalent in the country, that runs prevalent in the world, and I'm hoping that this right here can help out with this episode can help people out, and you can possibly help people out too. So wow, Sarah says hi, friend. So that's pretty cool. But all right, I got kind of off track there, but this has been another episode of Make Every Second Count Live, where we try to help you realize that you can make every second count. Now, my name is Jeff Marconette Jr., and I am the international award-winning Make Every Second Count speaker. And I have new guests every week on this show at Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I am honored to be here again, and I hope to see you guys next week. But one more question, Ben. But I'm going to let him give you his final thought, and then I'm going to sign off. All right, Ben, it's all you, bud.
Okay. I did see your question, Nicole. So if you want to reach out to me afterwards personally, I'd love to help you out more with that. Here's a phrase again that I use a lot: is when you understand and acknowledge your emotions, you gain power over them. So these 6 steps that I shared today is part of understanding and acknowledging. Then you gain power. We often feel like we're powerless because we don't understand them. But I'm telling you, when you do, take these times, even though the steps might sound super simple, do them and you will feel so much different.
That is great advice. So guys, reach out to Ben. He'll definitely be able to help you out. But you gotta do me a favor this week, next week, for the rest of the year, for the rest of your life. You need to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when the seconds are going to run out on your one life. Hey, until next Tuesday, 7 Eastern Time, I'll see you guys next week. Take care.